Illustrations by Pete.
So I have something special for you today. I love the Derwent Graphitint Pans. You know that. I've said it several times. Oh, come on. What are you doing? You're supposed to be outside? You've been inside for how long now? You haven't gone outside in weeks? I don't understand what you're doing. Is it cold outside? Is it too dark? What are you, a pansy? Get outside. I don't understand what you're doing. They're expecting you to be outside. You're not. You're in here. You're giving them a wall to look at. You're giving them markers to look at, pens, paint. They want to see the world. They want you to be out there. They want to see what you're doing. What are you doing? He's right. I said I'd be outside. I know it's dark out. It's cold. So what? I could get shot, stabbed in the middle of the night. So what? Is it worth the risk? Is it? Will I be mugged in my own neighborhood walking around with this light? It could happen. That one time, the guy saw me coming, picked up his phone, called the cops. They came and threw the book at me. Well, okay, it was a couple of teenagers in a car. They threw garbage at me because I'm vlogging in my 40s. So I'm going to make this quick. I don't even know if I'm in focus. I don't know if this thing can handle this at night, but I'm going to give it a shot. I love the Derwent Graphitint Pans. They're smooth. I enjoy them. They're nice. They're smooth. They're easy to use. They look velvety on the paper. So I enjoy using them like this. Line and wash, they're perfect for it. They really are. I encourage you to try these. And we're gonna get back to the studio because I'm getting some weird looks and I think I hear sirens. All right, well, I'm just gonna talk today. I don't know how much I'm gonna speed this up, how little I'm gonna speed it up. I have no idea. I'm just gonna talk until I have nothing else to say. And if it ends up being almost like a real time, then that's fine. If not, I'll speed it up to whatever I need to speed it up to. But I've got some things to say, so I'm going to say them. And I would like to do a little bit more of a long form video, so I had a little bit more for you to watch and maybe follow along instead of just me speeding through something and you can't really follow along as much. We'll see. I'll see how it goes. And see, here's the thing with these. I don't know if it comes out on the video, but I love using these exactly like this. This is the perfect way to use these. You lay them down on the paper. When they dry, it looks like velvet. I'm telling you, it looks beautiful. And then you add a little bit of line work to it and give it some detail, and the things you can make it look like are just, it's beautiful. Really, if you can, use these. I'm not being paid to say this. I wish I was, but I'm not. I believe that these things are, I don't know, the LightFast ratings are questionable. They say certain things. I don't know. I have not tested them. You could test them. Test them for yourself. You could be one of those people that does what no one who actually has art does, and you swatch these out on a page, and then you slap them up in a window for 6 months. Nobody does that with their art. And then, oh no, it faded a little. No one does that. I don't understand why that's a legitimate test to say, oh yeah, these are LightFast. That's not what anybody does. That's not the blue wool scale. That's not how they do it. They don't take a piece of the blue wool and stick it up in a window for 6 months to see. That's not how it works. So research how it's done, and I don't know if they have actually sent these out to get tested with the blue wool, or if these are just their internal testing and they just decided that this is how LightFast they are. But in a sketchbook, I don't care. I love these, and this is how I'm going to use them, and they make such a great looking, I just can't even get over it. You'll see right here. This is how I like to use them. So now this is a different style of line and wash because everything is attached and connected, and it forms like this just ball of nothing. But then I give it some texture, and it's sitting on a mound of nothing that I give some texture. But you'll see. You'll see how this turns out. And the reason that I like the pans is because with the pencils are good. But if you can tell, I'm using a cold press watercolor paper, so the pencil lead, the pigment will get stuck in the nooks and crannies, and it won't re-wet all the way. And so you could always go over it again and just wipe it out or change something, and it looks a little bit fuzzy, and I don't like that. So with the pans, usually I take the pencils and I would scribble them on something, and then I would add some water and use it as like a palette. You know what I'm trying to say. Use it just like a palette. But with these pans, you don't have to do that. I just wish they used more of the set. There's only 24. Give us the 24. Let us pick and choose which ones we want instead of you picking 12. What if I want to use the other 12? But it doesn't matter. These are good colors. I think there's only one that has a questionable light fast rating as far as I know. But, or maybe two. Maybe there's two with a questionable light fast rating. But most of them are decent. If you believe they're testing, then they're decent. So just use them however you want. But they are fun and they're beautiful. That muted palette, that's what I like. I love that muted palette. That's what I use all the time anyway. So this is almost exactly what I would use for a watercolor palette. It's perfect. And it's compact and it's tiny and it works well. I love them. Okay, so I want to talk about a topic that not everyone wants to talk about, but this is what I'm going to talk about today. Conspiracy theories. So I understand that it is in our nature as human beings to find truth and meaning. It's built into our DNA, and you combine that with the need to be a part of something bigger than our own pathetic lives, where we feel empty and unfulfilled, and you have a recipe there for disaster. It could go wrong in a million different ways. And I'm not saying that whatever conspiracy theory you're fleeing in fear from and losing sleep over isn't true, but just listen to me for a second. Just take a moment to think about this. Everyone likes the underdog, and in most movies and stories, the underdog is always, I find the strength to overcome and justice is finally done. But in every history book, it paints the victor in that light, right? That's why the dystopian future movies are so popular. It's why the Matrix movies and the Hunger Games and Star Wars are so exciting and they make for good stories. But the next time you hear about a conspiracy theory, except from me, if it's from me, I vet my sources thoroughly and I don't question anything I say. You can take it all to the bank. Like the fact that Derwent is run by alien technology passed on to them and supervised by the Illuminati. But for everyone else, ask why. So I can come up with plenty of evidence to show that this country was just an experiment by a group of beings who went extinct, but no one told us. So now the experiment is out of control and there's no one there to balance it out, or whatever crazy harebrained idea that you want to explore. But that doesn't make it true. There's only one actual true thing that happened in history, and that's the truth. But, and I've probably mentioned this before too, but let's say you find a ladybug on a table in the middle of a school cafeteria. Now you can speculate how it got there, and it may be entirely plausible. The kids were outside at the community garden, and we know that the garden, it's infested with ladybugs, so they must have caught a ride on one of the kids and came in from outside and fell on the table. That makes sense. It's plausible. It's happened before, probably. But it doesn't mean that it did this time. Maybe it came in from an open window. Maybe the janitor brought it from his house. You don't know. All you have is evidence, but evidence is not for or against anything. It's just evidence. So then you take that evidence and you formulate a plausible idea using the evidence, and you come up with your best guess. Unless it is something that can be tested and retested, and or someone caught it on film and It's all just best guesses. That's what it is. So then you get enough people to agree with your idea, and it starts to organically grow, and then those people find what they think are evidences and more evidence, maybe that's the way to say it, more evidence to support the idea and so on. It doesn't mean that it's correct. I'm not saying it's not, but it doesn't mean that it is. So then everybody gets to call themselves free thinkers. You're just sucking up story A instead of story B. It's still someone else spinning the information and feeding it to you. That's not free thinking. That's just you following this person's thought instead of this person's thought. That's unless you came up with the idea, that's it. And one of my favorite conspiracies is that Alexa's listening to you and spying on you. What are they? They're collecting information about what you would like to buy and consume so they can get more ads in front of you, and you'll act on those ads and they'll figure out what you buy, and they'll get... If that's the case, they suck at their job and they should all be fired. I have never spoken about Athlete's Foot, but ads keep popping up about it everywhere I look. I'm not an athlete. I don't even talk about sports or athletes or their feet. I cannot wait until they can figure out which ads play on your TV so I can stop hearing about how I need to supplement my retirement with a reverse mortgage. Talk to me in 25, 30 years when I'm retired. Then, maybe. But stop harassing me until then. I want to hear about paint and paper and techie stuff and guitar stuff, and that's what I want to hear. Send me those ads, but you don't. Instead, you're trying to put me in a retirement home, or that they're reporting to the CIA all this information, that they're listening to you. What are they going to say about me? Oh, Pete, yep, he's got another hole in his sock. He's yelling about it. He just threw it in the garbage. He's sick and tired of those socks. What are they going to say? What are they researching about me? I don't understand. There's nothing that interesting in my entire life. Even YouTube is run by Google. It suggests videos to me about fixing doors in Spanish. That would be okay, except I don't speak Spanish. And I literally tell them what I want to see in English. They still, for some reason, can't get that right. Listen, I'm convinced that if there is some all-knowing government force in the world, then they are incompetent at best. Do you know how many competent people it would take to organize something like an underground global domination that controls everyone in the world through media and their buying habits? I can't even get no tomato on my hamburger. I just had a mechanic tell me to pick up my car, then immediately lock it behind a fence so I couldn't get to it. And they were open. The guy had to drive it out of the bay and physically put it behind the locked gate before he called me. I walked around the lot for 5 minutes pushing the alarm, so I finally found that it was behind the gate. I just had a gas stove repair guy scratch my floor and then tell me that everything was good, only to have to shut off my gas valve because there's gas leaking out of every opening, including the new part that was just replaced twice. I don't know a single government office where you don't wait in line for 2 hours or more with a line of only 3 people. You finally get to the desk clerk, and the person on the phone told you to come to the wrong place. You're at the wrong place. Or you could have just handled everything over the phone anyway. Look, every country has different ideals and inner workings, and what sounds completely absurd to one nation's people is usually the norm in another's. There are not enough competent people alive on the planet to make this work properly, that everyone agrees to disagree, but everything still works wonderfully. Now, having said all that, this could also be the reason that it is true, because the only way it could work is if it seems like it could never work. That is the sign of a good conspiracy theory. Now you have this information. I'm sure you can add it to your conspiracy theory and invent reasons why this would be absolutely rational in your made-up fictional life. And you have fun with that. And then you come back here and share it with me. And I'll probably sign up. I'll sell my house and I'll come stay on your compound. I'd like to bring my wife. We'll be your most loyal followers. So I'd like to hear from you. What are the conspiracy theories that you have fallen for or that you do believe? No judgment here. Not gonna... I won't make fun of you at all. At least out loud. I'll just want to know, is there anything you heard of that was weird? Maybe something you didn't fall for, but you just heard and thought that was so absurd. I have no idea how anyone could even think this could be true, but then there are people that believe it. Now, don't go crazy. Let's not do anything that concerns any recent events. I've heard those too. When this whole Mexican beer thing started, I heard that, people are instructed. They had that video of the guy, I'm supposed to go put this panel on this satellite tower, and oh no, the Mexican beer doesn't really exist. It's really, it's really this, the 5G tower turned on and all this stuff. I heard all that, and those same people came back and said something completely different the next week, and something different the next week, and something different the week after that. There's like 45 different theories on what's going on. And I've heard all of the theories. Don't talk about that here, because one day this channel might be monetized and that will make it demonetized. I probably already did that, just bringing up the Mexican beer. But we will talk about that. But if there's anything else, not that and not politics, please, as far as recent politics, you want to toss around all your JFK stuff and all that, that's fine. Talk about that stuff, but nothing recent. We don't want to freak everybody out. I don't want to cause a fight in the comments, and people get way too serious about stuff. They're just, this is a place to relax and have some fun, not get that serious. So just take it easy, relax, have some Mexican beer. I like it. With a little bit of lime, it's good. I drank it. Oh, damn it, I'm not supposed to talk about alcohol. That's it, I'm demonetized. And believe me, that this all is coming from someone who, I grew up with this stuff. I shook hands with the guy who supposedly, back in, the early 90s, he created the microchip. It was him. He was the guy that, it's the chip that goes in your skin and bonds with your human flesh and turns you into an android or whatever, and they have all your information on this chip, your social security number, all your medical records, and the guy, I knew him, and that place ended up going to a compound, and it was weird. I was a kid. I didn't know any better. I was just along for the ride, and let me tell you, the stories I could tell you about all these different things, we'd be here for a month. I'm not going to go into those things right now because they're too weird. Some of them are too weird. But anyway, I'm just saying, I'm coming from a place where I've heard it all. I think I've gone down many rabbit holes. I'm a rabbiteer. I know exactly where I'm going when I go into those rabbit holes. I know where to look. I know where not to look. I know what I'm going to find eventually. And it's never good. So I also want to take this time to mention that, art is, I always talk about art like it's a professional thing and you are trying to be a professional artist and things, but it doesn't have to be that way. Everything that I'm saying will apply to when you're not a professional, when it's just a hobby. Art is a good hobby for anybody. It's fun to be able to express yourself and especially just slap some stuff down on a page and just feel like you're getting something out. It doesn't have to be, everybody gets all elitist with this stuff. And, oh, it's not, you really have to paint like this. And if you're watercolor, you better not paint with white. And listen, people just need to get some stuff off their chest. And if they did, it would be so much nicer to walk around in public. If people would just do art on the side, don't let anybody see it. I don't care. Just do it, and then stop being such an idiot. Stop being ridiculous with people. And it, not to say that everyone is. I'm not trying to say that. You may not be. You're fine. You're fine. If you're listening to this, you're better than most, and I guarantee that. But what I'm saying is, I think it's a good hobby for everyone because it just lets you get some aggression, get some frustration. It helps you relax. Some people paint very angrily, and that's okay. Let them get it out there. And some people can relax. They put on, I don't know, like, and we're going to talk about this, oil painters. They put on, like, piano music in the background, and they sip their tea while they're painting, and takes them 45 minutes just to set up their oil paints, and then they paint a little bit, and it takes them an hour and a half to clean it all up, but they only painted for 30 seconds because they ran out of time. But that's just, whatever you do, you sit down, you paint a little bit, and you just draw a little bit. You just get some stuff out there and just relax. I think that's one of the biggest draws to the automatic drawing thing. People don't realize what maybe it helps you with is that you're just scribbling on a page, not thinking about anything, and you don't have to worry about what's happening on that page. Just, it's not intentional anything. Just get it out. Just scribble away. Think about, oh, you're not supposed to think about anything, but just let your mind wander on something that you want to get out, and just scribble away, and just do whatever you have to do, or just put on relaxing music and maybe some Pink Floyd or something, and just paint and draw. I love doing that. I like listening to that kind of stuff. I love Pink Floyd, one of my favorite bands ever. Along with the 90s alternative stuff, mostly not all the popular stuff that people were listening to, not because it's popular. I don't not like it just because it's popular. That's not why. What I was drawn to were always the B-side stuff and the stuff that wasn't very popular. One of my favorite bands is Nirvana, and most of my songs that I love to listen to all the time, most people don't know them. They're just not popular songs. They're either B-sides of rare albums or stuff that was only on bootlegs. I had a friend who used to find the bootlegs. Matter of fact, I had several friends who used to take me to a store called Utopia, where they would have all the overseas stuff that were imported, and I would get my hands on those. And my parents did not like that, but my friends did, and they would get that stuff for me, and I appreciate them for that. And just got my hands on a lot of good music. Not just them, but everybody that I listened to. Just got my hands on good music, and it was an out for me, and I incorporated that with art, and I listened to that while I'm doing everything you're watching right here. That's what I'm doing usually. Listening to either some good, relaxing, just grooved music, or sometimes the exact opposite, with no one would listen to while they paint and draw, and that is podcasts and debates and lectures and things like that. I also like to listen to those things. So, but most people don't. What do you like to listen to? And that's the second thing I'd like you to put down below. What do you like to listen to or do when you? Some people don't like to listen to anything when they draw or when they paint. They don't like that. Some people watch movies. I don't understand how you do that, because I get laser focused on something, and if it's something I have to look at while I'm trying to look at the page, I'll miss everything. I'll either stop painting and just stare at the screen, or I will not be looking at the screen at all and just miss everything that happened and have to rewind constantly to see what just happened. So I don't like to do that. But listening to things, I'm right there with it. I can listen to just about anything I just like to relax. I like to calm down and take it easy while I'm painting and enjoy the process. I really love doing art. And I think that's one of the biggest things. You know if you're an artist because you love the art. It's everything else doesn't. I don't even care what ends up on the page after I'm done. I just want to create it. I just want to do what I'm doing and love it and just enjoy it and be in that moment and just nothing else is happening. Nothing else really matters at that time. I'm focusing on what I'm doing. It's an amazing thing with art. I don't think it happens on everything. It doesn't happen for everything else. When I play music, it's completely different. I'm trying to accomplish something or play. Sometimes I play just for fun, but it's almost like a goal. I have a goal when I pick up my guitar and I play something. But here, I don't care what this end result is. I can't just strum random notes on a guitar. That would sound like garbage. But here, I can draw random lines. I can paint random things. I can just fill an entire page with water and just let the color pop all over it and just enjoy that. Just love doing that. And I think everyone can do that. Everyone can enjoy that. You don't need to have any skill at all to enjoy watching watercolor spread across a page. Or it's enjoyable. It's fun. I love it. And the other thing is, look, watercolor gets a bad rap because there's people who tell you that you have to watercolor a certain way, which you don't. But many other people, other artists, do not respect watercolorists because, well, watercolor is one of the first things you get when you're a kid because it's water soluble, but that's not what it is. It's not Crayola. They're not the kid paints. These are, I mean, you have cadmium paints that could be deadly if you ate them. You know, that cobalts and all this other stuff. They're paints. They're the same stuff that's in the acrylics, the same stuff that's in the oils. It's just the carrier is different, and how you apply it is different because of the carrier. So, or binder. Sorry, I don't use the right words all the time, or hardly ever, but you know that. You've listened to me long enough, you know. So, but it's just, watercolor gets a bad rap. I don't like that. I think that's one of the easiest things to pick up because it takes, you can have just a couple colors and use some water and you can, oh yeah, okay, I see that if I add a lot of water it dilutes the color. Oh, I see, if I don't use a lot of water it's an intense color. That's very easy to understand. You have acrylics and you're like, oh, okay, I'm going to paint this. Oh, I'm going to blend this little area. Oh, I can't blend that area. It's dry already. Or you have oils and you're like, oh, can I wash this? Oh, no, I can't. I've got to use turpentine and all these solvents to wipe out my brushes. And then I can't take the paint thinner and dump it down the drain. I've got to pour it off and then scrape out the paint and then, you know, save the thinner. It's a process. And for a lot of people, it's like a ritual. That's the part of the art that they like, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But you have someone brand new starting out, just give them a couple of pens and a couple of watercolor and let them just go nuts. Just let them have some fun, because I get such enjoyment, especially these types of things where line and wash is my favorite type of art. It hands down. I love it. I love doing the paint part, and then I love just going over and outlining some colors and adding some textures and little grooves, and it's so fun to me. It's enjoyable. I recommend this for anyone. It doesn't matter what you do in life. You can do that. What I just did here, what I'm doing, you can make a circle of one color and then put a line around it and then put a couple lines in it. Anyone can do that. And I think when I do come out with a Skillshare class that's going to be available eventually, probably never, that's what I'm going to do is this line and wash. And you know what, if anybody wants to see that, let me know. It's going to be the same information that's in my videos, only I'm going to actually explain what I'm doing instead of talking all this nonsense while you're actually watching me do it. But it's something that I love doing, and if I was going to teach a class on art doing anything, this is probably what I would teach, because it's so fun. I love doing this. You get so much out of it. It's relaxing. It's calming. You focus. Whatever you want to do, that's what you do. It's good. Well, if you have listened up until this point, you are amazing. I have taken up more than enough of your time, and I thank you so much for staying till the end of this video. I'm going to go, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.